I just saw Spider-Man Homecoming. Nice, bro. Was it good? I'm sorry, did you call this movie good? This movie was great.
Does Liz get a new top?
No, we've seen that before. Never with that skirt.
Should probably stop staring before it gets creepy, though. Too late. You guys are losers.
So, to become an Avenger, are there like trials or an interview?
Just don't do anything I would do. And definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's a little gray area in there, and that's where you operate.
Oh.
All right?
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you. All right, kid. Good luck out there.
What's up, guys? I'm back here today with another review, and this is one of my most anticipated films of the year, and this is Spider-Man Homecoming. And it came out a couple of days ago, and I was fortunate enough to check it out tonight, and I'm going to give you my review on it right now. Spider-Man Homecoming is the latest entry in the MCU and stars Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Michael Keaton as the Vulture, and Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan. And this is the story of Spider-Man becoming Spider-Man, except it's not him becoming Spider-Man, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is we don't have to watch Uncle Ben die. We don't have to watch with great power comes great responsibility. No, because what this movie understands is that the audience has already seen this and that we know his origins. But this is a completely different type of origin story where it actually shows character development of Peter Parker becoming a better Spider-Man than the Spider-Man he is at the beginning of the film. Because one of the best things about this film is Spider-Man is already Spider-Man at the start of the film. And I can't stress this enough. It is so good not having to watch all of Peter Parker's origins again after we've already seen it twice before. And that's a pretty standard thing that reviewers are going to say about this film, but it is so true and it pays off so well because the origin story in which we undergo with Spider-Man in this film is a personal growth and development story for Peter Parker when he's already Spider-Man. And that is a much better origin story, in my opinion anyway, than the radioactive spider, Uncle Ben Dead origin story, which we've seen twice already. I was so hyped for this film. This is the most hyped I've been for a film this year, I believe. I was so close to making an anticipation video for it. I just held off, but basically I was super hyped. The trailers got me so pumped up for this film. It looked like they were finally doing Spider-Man right. He actually felt like a teenager in these trailers. I just watched Civil War twice in the last 2 days, and it reminded me how much I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And can I just say, Tom Holland is a lot better as Spider-Man in this film than Civil War. Tom Holland, this guy is Spider-Man. Believe it or not, this guy is Spider-Man. I don't want to see anybody else try to be Spider-Man. And if he can be Spider-Man forever in this universe, that's awesome because he's so good. I can't explain how good he is. Not only does he understand that Spider-Man is a teenager and he's going through rough times, he's going through puberty, he's going through the troubles of high school, and all the while he's experiencing things that teenagers experience. He's using dialogue that a teenager would use, which is also really good, and he's really funny too. When he does various things and gets various upgrades, it's really cool to see him use it because he's a 15-year-old kid and he understands that he's a 15-year-old kid, Tom Holland. And the way that he's playing it, like he says awesome and stuff. Like he uses dialogue that younger teenagers would use and it works so well with his character in this film. The film is a lot like Iron Man. That's the first Iron Man, by the way. In terms of a character, it develops so much throughout the story and plot of the film. I mean, Spider-Man was not an arrogant guy at the start of the film, although he was a lot less heroic than he was at the end of the course of the film than he was at the start. There's a big character arc development in the film and it works so well, and I'm so grateful that Marvel have carried a really nice Spider-Man arc, and it has not the same one that we've seen twice, and they've placed it into a new Spider-Man movie. So the movie centers around the Vulture, played beautifully by Michael Keaton, and might I add, Michael Keaton is amazing. He not only isn't giving fanboy service, as this is a Batman vs Spider-Man film technically, but he has such a presence on screen. He's really intimidating. He feels like a genuine threat, and I cannot stress this enough. Michael Keaton as the Vulture is maybe my favorite MCU villain thus far. If not, it would be tied with Loki. He is such a threatening villain, except he's not threatening at all. His actual character isn't that threatening, but his presence on screen is so threatening. When he's on, you feel like he means business. And I can't praise that enough about Michael Keaton's performance in this film. So anyway, the Vulture is getting high-tech weapons, which he has gathered, and selling them off to different criminals. And it's Spider-Man's job to come in, save the day, and stop him. But unfortunately for Spider-Man, it's not that easy all the time. And he has to learn throughout the story of the film that being a superhero isn't clean cut. It's not a fairy tale. It's not easy. You do have to be responsible. And that's exactly what the overarching message is about Spider-Man Homecoming. It's about responsibility. One thing I do want to mention, though, there is an incredible scene in this film with Michael Keaton and Tom Holland. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It is by far the best scene I believe I've seen in a film this year. It is one of the most on-your-edge scenes I've ever seen in my life. It actually felt genuinely frightening for the protagonist in the film, and I can't stress that enough. It is a beautiful scene, and I'm not going to wreck it for you, but people who've seen the film probably know the scene I'm talking about. It is absolutely masterfully done. It's everything about it is great. The directing is fantastic, and the cinematography is great on that scene. The score is fantastic, as well as all throughout the film. The score is great, and that scene for me is the best scene that I've seen in an MCU film this year, and possibly the best scene I've ever seen in a film this year. Now, of course, Iron Man's in this film, because one thing that was really cool about Civil War was Iron Man was kind of like a father figure to Peter Parker, and this transfers into this film. He's not a father figure as if he's guiding him every step of the way. He's more of a mentor figure, and he's mentoring Peter throughout his journey and growth in this film. Now, so Iron Man's being really heavily promoted in the trailers, and people may think that this is an Iron Man movie just as much as this is a Spider-Man movie, and that he's not over-convoluted. He's not a one-dimensional character either, don't get me wrong. Even though he's only in a few scenes in this film, his impact on Peter Parker and also the film's scenes is fantastic. It was really nice to see Peter Parker have a mentor like Iron Man guiding him through this personal growth journey of his in this film. And what was even better was when Iron Man was giving Spider-Man some life lessons and lessons on how to be a better person, as well as being a better Spider-Man. Obviously, RDJ, come on, Robert Downey Jr. is amazing as Iron Man. I don't have to go into that. By now, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is the perfect choice. It's always been the perfect choice, and it will always be the perfect choice. And no matter what movie Iron Man's in, that Robert Downey Jr. is the actor for him in, it will be terrific every single time. So I have absolutely no problems with Iron Man showing up in MCU movies. One other really enjoyable character in this film is Peter Parker's best friend. Sorry, I forgot his name, but he was superb in this film. He was funny, witty, and most of all, he was just such a likable character. If you want sidekicks in films, sure, this guy doesn't have any superpowers. But as a sidekick character and best friend of Peter Parker, he was one of the best characters in this film, possibly even just under Tom Holland, and maybe above Michael Keaton. The performance was great by the actor who played him as well. So in this film, there's no Gwen Stacy and there's no Mary Jane. Instead, we have Liz Allen, I believe her name is. And she's Peter Parker's love interest, and she was fantastic in this film. I loved her character, and one thing that made this film really good for me was everything felt natural. Peter Parker felt like a high school student, which is one of the things I was most looking forward to about this film. He feels like a high school student. He feels like a teenager. When he's trying to ask Liz Allen out and get her attention. He's nervous. He's so realistic as a teenager. It is so good to watch. This guy's just a kid, and he has so much to learn. And when he is interacting with other teenagers in high school, it seems completely natural. And it's exactly how a high school would feel in real life. And that's my biggest praise about the film. It really genuinely feels like a coming of age story, which is actually set in a high school period, and it's actually set with high school characters who are teenagers. The high school scenes just felt so natural and so well made, and I'm so happy that they were done right in this film, unlike The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man, where Peter Parker, he felt like a middle-aged adult who was just in a high school setting, and it didn't feel right at all. Whereas Tom Holland nails this teenage Spider-Man. I can't stress that enough, and the high school genuinely feels like a high school. Thank you, Marvel. Thank you, MCU. The action scenes in this film are fantastic, as every single action scene is in MCU films because they know how to do action right. Thank you, MCU, once again. Special effects are amazing. These are just things that are customary now for the MCU. And if the MCU keeps this up, they are on the verge of being one of, if not the greatest franchises of all time. Still though, Star Wars will be the best franchise of all time. Don't you dare say anything bad about Star Wars or tell me that it's not the best franchise of all time. Don't you dare. I'm warning you. Don't you type in those comments that Star Wars is not the best franchise. I will not be happy. One of my favourite things about this film is Spider-Man and his self-awareness about what he's doing. And by that I mean he's aware that he's embarking on a great journey, and he's so happy to vlog it. He's happy to freak out whenever he's super excited about something, and Tom Holland seems really legitimate. He seems like he's legitimately losing his mind when something awesome happens. After the events of Civil War, he's flipping out. He's so excited about the Avengers and meeting Tony Stark and Captain America and all of them and fighting alongside in Civil War. It is so awesome to watch him vlog his battle, as well as him being super psyched about his new suit, as well as upgrades and things to do with the Avengers and Tony Stark. It's super fun to watch, and Tom Holland, take a bow, son. You are amazing. Marvel have done it again. The action's superb. The acting is phenomenal. It's funny. This is such a hilarious film. It's witty. It knows where it's set, and it knows how it needs to feel to be accurate. The tone was great. The characters were great. And I'm so happy to say that this is my favourite Spider-Man film of all time. I'm going to smash Spider-Man Homecoming with a 9 out of 10. Now, before I leave, I want to just discuss the post-credit scenes. So if you don't want to know what the post-credit scenes are, I wouldn't recommend it unless you've seen the film, because they're one of the best things about these MCU movies. So just click out the video now if you don't want them to get spoiled for you. For me, the first end credit scene and the second end credit scene were both underwhelming. Similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, there was nothing to do with Infinity War, which was a bit disappointing, but, you know, Thor Ragnarok, fingers crossed. Hopefully they do something for that. But, you know, in the first end credit scene, we get to see Scorpion, who is in jail with Michael Keaton's. So I guess Scorpion is going to be the next villain in the Spider-Man Homecoming 2, because I love Scorpion as a character. I would be so fine with that. It's really awesome to see them taking these characters that not a lot of people know, because these are fairly obscure characters in Spider-Man's universe. They're not overbloated like Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin, but hardcore fans like myself know who these characters are and really appreciate them, so it's really nice to see them adding them into the MCU so they can become widely appreciated. So I reckon that's cool how they're going to include the Scorpion into the MCU. And the second scene is a massive troll to the audience. But, you know, Captain America. And who does not love Captain America? That's what I'm going to say for that end credit scene. Just, Yeah, no. If you want to get trolled, stick around at the end.